I don't think I would let her in my house. I would not kill my child. I would run out of the house.
Welcome to The Scene Drift, a podcast exploring the worlds of film, television, and entertainment, and the people who bring those stories to life, drifting through stories, one scene at a time. Today we're diving into Lee Cronin's The Mummy, a visceral supernatural thriller exploring a family's harrowing reunion with their long-lost missing daughter. The film delivers a haunting story of transformation that pushes the boundaries of the genre. Joining me is the lead, Natalie Grace. We discuss her breakout role as Katie, her transformation into the demonic mummy, and the story behind her character's journey. Let's get into this.
Firstly, congratulations on the film and happy belated birthday as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I actually went into this film completely blind. I don't watch any trailers, watch nothing. And then the first 10 minutes I was thinking, damn, is Brendan Fraser going to show up? But then instead we got your magnificent performance. And honestly, how does it feel celebrating your birthday whilst all audiences are traumatized this week?
Oh, that's a good question. It was really surreal, and it felt like everything was kind of happening at once. I don't think I've kind of comprehended at all. Like the fact that it's out in the world still feels crazy to me. I had a really good birthday. I just spent a lot of time with family and friends just to kind of try to stay grounded since all of this is happening. But it's crazy that they happened at the same time.
And speaking of family and friends, what was their reaction when you first watched it with them?
I watched it with my grandparents and my parents and my sister, so like a big group of my family. I think it was a couple days ago, and they all had like surprisingly good reactions. I thought my grandparents were gonna kind of be a little bit shocked or maybe not like it, just because I really didn't expect them to like the story or just there's a lot of gore too, and you take your elderly grandparents to a horror movie, you don't really know what's gonna happen. But they all really liked it. They thought it was amazing. They really loved the storyline. No one had anything negative to say, which is always nice when it comes to family.
You mentioned your grandparents enjoying the film. Grandma in the film, played by
Yeah,
Veronica. Down, I swear she couldn't catch a break in that film.
he could not. Poor Veronica.
She's praying, she's trying to help Katie out, and then obviously Katie headbutts her, and then she tries again. She's not trying to stop,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously she gets brutally murdered. What was it like
Yeah.
filming that scene?
It was really fun. We spent a lot of time together. I think out of the whole cast, me and her are probably the closest. She's such an inspiration to me, and she helped so much while filming. So it was really incredible to get to work beside her for the long periods that we had because it was such a stunt-heavy scene. It took a while to film and to put together. So I think that was one of the main scenes that took up most of my filming time, really.
Yeah, because you were essentially like levitating. Did they put did they get like green screen people or to pick you up, or was it something that you had to stand on?
No, I did all my own stunts. That was anytime that I was levitating, and Veronica too, I think, because when she gets choked, we both do harness work. So the stunt team did a really great job of just training me. I got there about a month before everyone else did, before the rest of the cast, and had to work and learn all of the stunts and all of the harnesses because there's different types for different things. So it was really hands-on.
Oh, cool. And with Veronica, you said that you're very close, but there's a scene that I'll be honest, I nearly vomited, where the juice is coming out of her neck,
Oh my God.
and and
Okay,
then
yeah.
and then Katie starts licking it, and I'm like, what is going on? What actually was that substance, and what did it taste like?
Funny story. In between takes of that, I would go outside and throw up because I have a really bad gag reflex and it was just disgusting. I don't think I really like ate a full meal a couple days after filming that because it messed me up so bad. I don't do well with things like that. And the bad thing is like they made it raspberry flavored to try and help me and they were like, "Oh, Natalie likes raspberry, so we'll just make it like raspberry jello type." Even the stuff that's on the floor that I'm licking up is raspberry too, but I couldn't get it out of my head that it was supposed to be embalming fluid, and it was just making me so nauseous.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, so Katie was gone for 8 years. She came back and her teeth weren't gone. I was surprised how she still had like a good set of teeth.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that is interesting.
Obviously that links to the Morse code. Did you have to learn that sort of rhythm to match with Jack?
Yes, I did. I remember it was really fast the way that I would have to click my teeth. It really hurt my jaw like over time because we had to do it for so long. But they would show me the pattern, and they would print it out, and then I would just kind of review it and try to memorize it. I couldn't do it now, but I think I was just so in the moment that it kind of came naturally. But there were a lot of different scenes where I had to do the Morse code. A lot that got cut from the movie too, but it was really interesting to learn.
I'm surprised that Katie's teeth didn't break because
Yeah.
she
Well,
didn't.
there's that part where they start bleeding and
Mm.
then they get a little bit more rotted as the movie progresses. I think I had three different stages of the teeth inserts for the prosthetics.
Yeah, they must have some like dentistry in the mummy area. I can't leave this out, but the toenail scene. Oh
Yeah.
my. It's the build up. The first toenail clipping, the smaller one, it goes into
Mm,
Katie's mouth. Like
yeah.
what was that made out of?
Girls get their nails done and they have like acrylics. So it was just an acrylic nail base, and then they put a bunch of like fake dirt and crap on it to make it look really gross and just cut a piece of it to make it look jagged. But yeah, that was not fun having to like hold that in my teeth. It was really gross.
And then after that, it's where the big toe, the big toenail is getting cut off. You can't cut it off, and then eventually it rips. And that was probably one of the grossest like scenes that I've seen in probably horror cinema. How did that
That's so
feel?
good.
Yeah, how did that feel? Or how was that like
Um,
executed?
Yeah, so that was a separate piece of skin. I think that day I had like at least two different layers of prosthetics on my legs, plus that separate piece that was molded to the top layer of my skin. But once they kind of did like the gag of the nail clippers going down, it would just pull because it was only attached really at the top and then loosely attached to the rest of the leg, and then it would just rip. And we would keep adding really sticky blood in between the pieces of the fake skin so that when it ripped, it looked gooey and gross, like how you see on the screen. That one took a good while to film, though, just because we wanted it to be so gross and gnarly, and we wanted to get as close as possible and make it look as realistic as possible. But it was really interesting seeing how all of those elements come together.
That scene was happening. Did you essentially get a bit of trauma from using nail clippers anymore?
I mean, not really. It was so, I had already had so many different layers on me for the makeup that I didn't even really feel it. And it wasn't real, too. But I just felt so out of my body that even seeing it happen to my leg and it being fake, I don't know, it didn't really affect me like I thought it would,
Mm.
which is good, probably.
Yeah, and you mentioned how you had so many layers on. Did it feel relieving when you said, "Baby brother, undress me"? You were like, "Oh, finally get this makeup off. I've been wearing it."
That was definitely a fun day to film. I remember, I think it was 1 or 2 days that we filmed those sections, and just getting to like rip it off was so therapeutic because at that point I was so tired of having it on. But I was also really scared because it was two different layers, or it might have been three. I think it might have been three. But I didn't want to rip the base layer off and then have like my real skin show through. So we had to be very critical about the way that we did it, but it was still pretty therapeutic.
What was the texture like? Was it slimy and stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean it was covered in blood, but it's just really thin pieces, almost like rice paper. That's the best way I can describe it.
Oh, damn. There's a really good section in your performance where we finally see Katie speak in the sweet 8-year-old voice. But what I noticed that was that Katie only used that voice when it was with the kids to lure the innocent. And
Yeah.
when it was the adults, more of the demonic, raspy voice,
Oh,
where was that a strategy to sort of bring in the innocent children to sort of transfer it over?
I think so, yes. And also like she was kidnapped when she was very young, so it makes sense for her to have a similar voice because she's been locked up and gone and probably in a coma state. So her voice might be exactly the same as it was when she got kidnapped because she hasn't had any time to develop at all.
Mm.
In her brain, she's still 8-year-old Katie.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the line where she says to Jack, "I'm her daddy now," and it was like that a demonic line.
Yeah.
I think that's the most iconic line from the film because
Thank you.
it shows the switch, and
Yeah.
and obviously you saw that there was a connection between Katie and Jack's character in the film,
Yeah.
but that sort of flipped it, and it's like, oh, he's lost his daughter completely. Uh,
Yes.
how many takes that line actually take to do?
I think only one or two. It was kind of a spontaneous, just an idea that Lee had. It wasn't originally in the script. And he was like, I want you to say this. And it was towards the end of the day, and I was like, okay, sure. I don't know if I can sound like that, but and then I tried it and I was able to get into a really like deep register. Most of what you hear is my real voice, and it's layered on top of more other. There's one guy voice, but then like the main part of it is my real voice, and I have no idea how I did that. I probably couldn't recreate it, but I got so in the moment that it just kind of came out. And I remember they yelled cut, and everyone was just kind of like standing around like, how did that happen? How did that just come out of you?
It was crazy. So when we see the transfer ritual between
Mm.
Katie and her dad, it's actually quite disgusting when you see the gunk go from mouth to mouth. How did you film that without gagging? Was there like some tube system that was in place?
It was all put together in editing, actually. I never like do any of it really. Jack had to do most of the heavy lifting on that. I think they did a separate filming process with him where they poured it towards him and then flipped it and then edited it after we had filmed. But all I had to do was they put some around like my prosthetics already to make it look like after the transfer happens that it had just happened. Yeah, that was all created after. So I thankfully didn't have to do any of that. I think they probably thought after me doing all the embalming fluid and everything else I had already done and the throwing up that they would give me a break, which is nice.
Yeah, no more traumatizing you. There are some decisions that I was screaming at the screen when I was in the cinema at the parents. As the world's most terrifying daughter in horror history, what would be your advice to parents around the world that uh, have a kid that comes home from Egypt as a mummy?
Oh my God. I don't think I would let her in my house like the parents did. I mean, but that's so hard to say because as a parent, I mean, my mom and my dad told me their perspective on it after watching it. They were like, if you're a parent and you watch this film, it's upsetting because you want to help your child. You don't want those horrible things to happen to them or for them to have to go through that. So if you have the opportunity for her to come back into your life and to help her and heal her, I think that's why Laya wants to help and she doesn't want to just send Katie away to a doctor or anything that Charlie Jack wants to. But me, I would not try to heal my child. I would run me, I would not try to heal my child. I would run out of the house.
Yeah, we see how the doctors in Egypt, they say, oh, she needs time with the family. I don't know. I felt that was a bit sketchy. Like they probably heard of the law sort of thing.
Oh, maybe
What,
they did.
why do you think that the parents actually brought them back? Or do you think that they were like sort of in the middle, whether they should or whether they shouldn't?
Laya's character just wants her daughter back, and she's just grateful to have her back in her life. She's a nurse, so she thinks like that she really can heal her physically, and that whatever is wrong with her, maybe mentally or emotionally, being around the family will help that. She wants normalcy back. She never got over the fact that her child was kidnapped. When something horrible like that happens to you, that's completely life changing and you don't get over that. It really shapes who you are as a person. So it makes complete sense for her to want her child back. Jack, on the other hand, his character kind of has a different mindset about it because even though he wants his kid back, he also needs to find out what happened because that's going to validate him as to the fact that he feels guilty for her getting kidnapped. So there's different mindsets there.
Yeah, 100%. And we see how he sacrifices himself. In an interview that you said that it took you 30 days to detox after the film and to get
Yeah.
out of Katie's mindset. What was the first
Yeah.
normal thing that you did to shake it off?
This was really bad timing. Right after we got home from filming, I had a family vacation planned, like originally after, like before I had even booked the role. And it was with extended family too, and they really wanted me to come. And I was like, okay, sure. And I had young cousins that were going to be there. And I thought in my head, I was like, if I start screaming in my sleep and like making demonic noises and saying the lines like I have been for the past 2 months, those kids are going to be freaked out. And I still went, and I don't think I woke anyone up. I think I kind of just pushed it to the back of my mind, and it really helped being in a different environment. But as soon as I got home, I started having the dreams again. I would have these weird dreams where I would be standing, and then in front of me would be my mummified self, and she would be talking and I would be interacting with her, and then I would wake up and not be able to remember what she said. But those went on for a really long time.
Um, was that within like the first month? Wait, how long did that take to essentially go?
Probably 2 months on and off. Like it wasn't every day, but yeah. And then sometimes randomly still I'll have like weird dreams, but I think it's just a part of me. I've definitely healed from it, but if I needed to do any healing, I don't think I did. I think it just kind of became one.
I think you might have to summon Katie back when it's Halloween.
Yeah,
Do you think
I think I want to. Yeah, that would be fun.
you put the Katie costume back on?
Yes, I definitely would. Yeah,
Yeah. With Katie, do you feel like going forward with your roles that you'll still have that character with you?
definitely. I think a lot of actors keep all of the characters that they play within themselves, and you can learn things from them for future roles too, and just about yourself. It's a very good thing to reflect on past projects because they can help influence your future or your day-to-days.
100%. I'll be honest, there was one scene where Katie first comes back to the home and it's it's where the wheelchair's going up and up, thudding, thudding, thudding.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to know why didn't they just pick you up?
That's what we wanted people to ask. We wanted people to wonder why are they not just picking her up? It's supposed to be a sign that they're already separate, even though they're trying to push her into the family. It's family and Katie. There's always going to be an isolation point, and she's not really going to be involved in the family because she's this demon. We wanted people to feel a shift. We wanted them to feel uncomfortable and be asking why Jack wouldn't just like pick me up and walk me up the stairs. It's just supposed to be very uncomfortable and start questions. So, and I think it's done that because multiple people have asked me that.
Oh, damn. And obviously with horror films, for us audiences, it scares us. But for you guys on set, were there any funny moments when filming?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone did a really good job of keeping it light on set. Little Billy specifically, anytime we had a scene together, when they were setting up the camera or they were doing my view of it, and she would be like off camera but still within the scene, she would make these funny faces trying to get me to break, and I would see her in my peripheral and have to like lock in and not start laughing because she can make these like crazy faces. I think there's some pictures from the premieres where she's doing them, but she's just hilarious. Like half the time I had to do scenes with her, I just could not keep it together.
Yeah, everybody in the cast, they just seemed like they had their own good vibe going. And
Yeah. Mm.
when you were acting with both the siblings, how was that?
Yes.
How was that with building the rapport with them?
It was really nice. I didn't grow up with any younger siblings. I'm the youngest. So it was definitely a completely different experience than anything I've had. It was really cool to pretend to have like little siblings. I would always check on them. Like our routines were completely different during the day. I would have to be in makeup for 8 to sometimes 10 hours. So I didn't get to see a lot of them if we weren't on the set. But when we were on the set, I always tried to involve myself as much as I could in their filming process and get the chances to talk to them whenever I could. And we did hang out a few times outside of filming too, so it was nice.
And you mentioned you were in makeup for 8 to 10 hours. How did you go about like actually eating on set? Was there a certain way that you could eat food?
We would get there so early before anybody else. I would usually have like a bunch of snacks and stocked food there. And then we have like breakfast about 3 or 4 hours into the makeup. And it's so early that I wasn't really hungry. I would kind of fall asleep in the chair and then wake up, eat breakfast. I would have a lot of snacks. They would bring me little smoothie bowls and then I would eat those. But a lot of the time, I was just so locked into the character that I would forget to eat. And then they would have to be like, Natalie, like, you kind of need a snack. You've been running and jumping on people. Maybe you should take a break and eat. But they were really good about always going places if I wanted like a specific thing to eat. They were wonderful about that. The ADs were really helpful.
I mean, they did give you a snack. You had to eat the bug inside in the walls.
Yes. Oh my God. That was actually okay. I had fun with that because it was a gummy and it was black currant flavored, and I'd never had that before. And it was really good. I think I got to eat about like 4 or 5 of them.
They look disgusting though. I'm
Yeah, they do.
finishing the film. What was the memory that stuck with you after making it?
Lee did this wonderful speech about how I had done such an amazing job, and it just felt so surreal. He gave me like a couple of the props from my bedroom while doing
Mm.
the speech, and I was like in half of my prosthetics, and everyone was surrounding me. It felt very surreal to start a project like that, and then suddenly like these 4 months pass and it's just done. And this huge chunk of my life that it felt like was just suddenly over. So it was definitely very emotional. I think I had to get over that too, as well as processing the character.
Mm. And with Lee Cronin, we know that he's used to making these gory sort of things. When you were trying to get into Katie, were there any films that you watched to essentially like get into being her?
I didn't want to take any inspiration from things that had already been created. So I really tried, and I think I did as well as I could, to just go off of the conversations that me and Lee had about the character and my own thoughts. And I would write a lot. I kept a journal while I was the character. So everything that, all the ideas I had, everything that I was processing, it would go in the journal. I would write it down on anything. I have multiple scripts that are just like pages and pages of notes while we were filming, after I had kind of already created the character, I watched The Thing for the practical effects that it had in it because I was going through the prosthetics and I wanted an example of it. And I watched a lot of comfort movies, but then I also watched The Poltergeist.
Oh, damn.
So, mm.
And I also saw that you made a toolbox for when you were going into the film. What was inside this toolbox that you'd created?
Oh, okay. Metaphorical toolbox.
Yeah.
It's not a literal toolbox. One of the first meetings I had with Lee, he kind of broke down all of my thoughts because I was very overwhelmed. I thought that I needed to have everything prepped for every single scene on day one and know exactly what I was going to do. And he just kept reminding me of like everything that I'm learning, all of the stunts, all of the like the read through, the practicing the movements of it, practicing with the other actors. Those are tools that I can then put in a toolbox and take out whenever I need them during filming.
Yeah, I mean the toolbox worked because your
Yeah,
performance is amazing.
thank
Then,
you.
so with the film, after you watched it, what was your favorite scene?
Oh my gosh. I loved all of them so much, but I probably the throw up scene after I eat all of the scorpions. It was really fun to film that one, and I just really wanted to see how it would come out in the film, so it was really exciting to see that.
What did they put in the liquid for the throwing up?
I don't know. It was edible. I think it was a mix of chocolate and jello and water. It was pretty gross, but everything in it was safe. They made sure that I knew that. I remember some of it got in my mouth because it was like this bit that I had on this side of my mouth, and then it would look like I was throwing up, but I swallowed some of it while that was happening, and that was not fun.
I feel like Lee Cronin was, or he was treating all of you guys with sugar. I don't think, I don't think I've seen many people have this much sugar on a film set.
No, I definitely don't have a sweet tooth anymore. Like that kind of killed it.
Yeah, that's another thing that was surprising with Katie having all this sugar and she's still got a set of teeth.
Yeah.
So finally, to wrap up, what's the advice that you'd give to anyone that's still traumatized after watching this film?
Maybe go and watch your favorite comfort movie or comfort television show and just try to forget everything that you saw, even though you probably won't and it's stuck in your brain. I know a lot of people are kind of traumatized from the nail scene and they won't even touch nail clippers anymore. I'm sorry.
Wait, do you have a comfort film?
I do. I have a lot. My top one would probably be Heathers, the original Heathers, and
Or is it the musical?
Gone. No, not the
Oh,
musical,
okay.
just the original film. But the musical is amazing too. And Gone Girl. I really like Gone Girl.
Balming's a good film.
Mm.
And Natalie, lovely speaking to you. And honestly, you smashed this performance, and I can't wait for what you're going to be doing next. And loads of people are watching this film. They're talking about it. I'm sure you've seen the reactions.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an incredible film.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
No worries. And yeah, lovely speaking to you. Speak to you soon.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.